Wonderful. So, yeah, we're just we're going to slow it down a bit today. We're going to kind of focus again a little bit on hips, all around really. I guess a bit of hip flexor focus, quads, but also getting into the hamstrings, the outer hips. Yeah, and yeah, slowing it down. I think I've touched on this before, but I know that for me, I think having come from like a dance background and all this kind of stuff, movement for me is yes, very therapeutic, but also can be a really nice distraction from what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. So, sorry, frog in my throat. So sometimes for me, it's much easier to do something that continuously moves, because then I don't really have to address anything else that's going on. So yeah, we're going to slow it down, and it's just a chance for you to see. And it might be something that you know about yourself already, but it's a chance, I guess, for you to see how you find that slowing down. Is it more comfortable? Does it feel more useful? Is it frustrating? You know, just whatever your experience of it might be, and how you can use that. And particularly, I know sometimes it can be really frustrating if you've sort of got to your mat and you really want to kind of burn some energy and get into a dynamic practice, and suddenly it isn't going to be that, or it doesn't turn into that kind of a practice. Instead of being perhaps allowing yourself to be frustrated by that, how can you use it? What can you take from the practice, as opposed to what is sort of lacking in inverted commas? So yeah, an invitation to slow it down and see what that allows, or see what that brings to you. So finding a comfortable seat, however that might be. Of course, you're welcome to lie down if you want to, but closing your eyes, and as you settle into your seat, again, checking in, is this comfortable for my body right now? Not, was this comfortable for me yesterday, or would I really like for this to be comfortable? Is this comfortable for me right at this moment? And as you do settle into that seat, just taking a moment to notice where you're starting your practice from. Specifically, maybe paying attention to your energy levels, to your mood, and to your state of mind. When you're ready, allowing your attention then to turn to your breathing, or to the physical sensations within your body, whichever you prefer. Is it possible to drop into a state of easy focus? Does that feel like it's available to you today? Sometimes you might need a little bit more discipline to maintain focus. Other times it might be quite comfortable. And then just switching your attention. So if you were paying attention to your breathing, turning to look at the physical sensation, or vice versa. Before then, taking your time to make your way into a child's pose. Any variation that feels comfortable for you, any placement of the arms that you like. Again, just taking some stillness. And has your attention shifted? Are you still focused, or do you need to refocus on your breathing or on your physical sensation? Maybe there's something else. Before then, making your way up to all fours and just into a little bit of cat and cow. So the in-breath to lift the tailbone, chest forwards, chest open, and the exhale to tuck the tailbone round the spine. Of course, if you want to slow it down, take a bit more time over it, you can do. Next time you breathe into that cow pose, do take just a couple of extra breaths with the back in that arched position. Back of the shoulders, active. Not too much kind of crunching of the low back. So where are you going to find that space, that support from? Before using an out breath then to move into your cat pose. And again, just pausing, taking a bit of time there as you press the back of the body toward the ceiling. And from that cat pose, you can start to take the ribs into a circling action. So up to the ceiling, over to one side, and then sinking the chest down to the bottom of your circle. Doesn't matter which direction you go first. And then changing direction. Just sort of trying to gently melt away some of the kind of fuzziness that you might feel of a morning. And then again, settling back into a child's pose when you're ready. And just taking time in your child's pose to refocus if you need to just notice how it's going for you so far, how you're feeling so far. And then we're going to take it into some baby waves. So just lifting the bottom enough that you can tuck your toes under and maybe just bringing the hands in towards you a little bit closer, starting by pushing from the feet as you round the spine to shift forwards. Then lifting the tailbone, little bend in the elbows as you press back, ripple back, hips to heels. That rounding back of the body towards the ceiling as you shift forwards and arching as you ripple, glide back. Feeling that connection to your mat and how the hands and the feet helping create or initiate your movement or support your movement. But then as you ripple forwards, no rush, so rolling forwards, and as you ripple back, lifting the knees and making your way up into a downward facing dog. As always, as much time, whatever little movements that you want to take there. And connecting with your body, not the expectation of how we think it should feel or what we've been told is a good thing to do at this stage, but connecting with how it feels for your body this morning. What can you do with that information? Before then, starting to walk the hands towards the back of the mat. You're going to find your way into a forward fold. Feel free to reposition the feet. And using your forward fold as you wish. Whether that is with some movement, whether it's with some stillness, if it's ragdoll, placement of the hands, all those things are entirely up to you. Bring a little bit of attention into what's happening maybe in the legs. Are they passive? Are they active? When you're ready, bending your knees, gently rolling up to standing. So the hips start to drop down. Knees start to roll up, sending the knees just slightly forwards. So you can start to stack the hips over the heels. Uncurl the spine from there. Once you get upright, eyes closed, bringing the hands to a comfortable position for you, whether that's resting at the sides of the body, prayer, hands on the body. Again, just taking a little bit of time to pause, to stand. Feel free to take another few breaths here, but whenever you're ready to move on, make sure you bend the knees as you start to roll back down through your forward fold. Excuse me. Through your forward fold. And then walking the hands towards the top of the mat, finding your downward facing dog. Once again, a little bit of time to get into that down dog. And finding a bit of a pouncy, bouncy down dog. So allowing the heels to raise, heels to lift, little bend and stretch of the knees. So you're starting to find that power in the legs. There'll need to be quite a lot of strength in the arms as well. But you can feel that push from the feet. And you're going to use that power in the legs to help initiate a roll forward, a spinal wave to take you into a high plank position. So lifting the heels, chin to your chest, rolling forward through the spine. So you're pressing the back of the body towards the ceiling. And then pausing, again, in that high plank. Knees can come down if you need to. Once again, finding stillness. How much difference does it make now that we're finding stillness in a stronger position? Maybe there's a sense of gathering into center. That might be a physical sense of gathering into center. It might be a sense of gathering your focus, your energy in. You guys keep breathing. And when you're ready from here, taking it into any form of back bend that you like. And again, we're going to take a little bit of time, so you can always mix it up. And you're welcome to bring in some movement or some stillness. When you're ready, taking it back once again, either into a child's pose or just to kneel. Crown of the head floating up towards the ceiling. We're going to move from here through maybe 3 or so rounds of a waving vinyasa. If you are strongly adverse to waving vinyasa, of course, you're welcome to take a regular one. So from your down dog, again, a bit of that kind of pouncy, bouncy action, so we connect to some power from the feet and from the legs. Before then lifting the heels, tucking the tailbone to the floor as you roll all the way forwards, rounding low back, mid back, upper back, and melting it through into your upward facing dog. From there, chin to your chest, strong arm as you roll once again, rounding through the upper back, this time mid back, lower back. Strong arms as you come back into your downward facing dog. Again, connecting with that power from the legs, and then going again. So 1 or 2 more of those. And if you do want a little bit kind of extra, once you've rippled through into your upward facing dog, the option is there for you from your up dog to take it into a high plank and then take a little chaturanga press before continuing on your journey back into your down dog. Again, if you'd rather take a regular vinyasa, a different vinyasa entirely, or no vinyasa at all, options are all there. But you're going to find your way into that pouncy downward facing dog again. Step the feet a little bit closer in towards the midline of the mat and lift your right leg. And with the right leg raised, again, that pouncy, bouncy, strong supporting leg, heel raised. But try not to let the heels sink down to the mat. Then using the push from your left foot to help step the right foot to the top of your mat. Dropping the back knee down, sweeping the arms high, and adding in a little side bend. So you're reaching over towards the right hand side. You're welcome to interlace the hands. Do whatever you want with the arms, maybe catching hold of left wrist. And checking in with your sensations. Trying not to grip, but also trying to ensure that you have enough support for your body. Bringing the arms back up towards the ceiling and taking them into a cactus shape. As the elbows pull wide, maybe adding in a little bit of a lift of the sternum, of the chest toward the ceiling. Making sure you're happy with the placement of the head. Again, hands coming to the top of the mat. Pick up your back knee. You're going to sweep the right leg back, 3-legged dog. Again, that pouncy, bouncy variation if possible. And then your right leg is going to come through to a very brief pigeon pose. You're going to try and use your left leg, that supporting leg, to help you. Just maybe a breath, maybe 2 in your pigeon pose, before again sweeping the right leg back into another 3-legged dog. Same quality, use that left leg. Again, you're going to step the right foot to the top of the mat, use the left leg to help you. Drop the back knee down. I'm going to use my right arm to circle back and catch my left foot. You're welcome to take your left hand back. And again, to kind of find a variation that works for you to get into that back quad. If the hand to foot isn't available, you can always just keep squeezing, activating the hamstring, trying to draw the heel towards your bottom. And as you release from there, tucking the back toe, lifting the knee, you're going to rise up into a high lunge. So as you sweep the fingertips high, have a little moment maybe to straighten both legs before getting back down into it again. Again, adjust the placement of the feet until you feel comfortable. The degree of bend or stretch that you have in both knees is entirely up to you. Same as any variations you want to take on the top. But seeing if you can find some stillness without becoming rigid, without becoming locked. Before taking it into a warrior two, planting the back heel down. Again, any adjustments that you want to make. As you settle into your warrior two, turning to look over the right fingertips. Again, looking for that balance of power, of stability, and of ease. And you can either stay low on the right leg as you flip the front palm, take it into reverse warrior, or if you want a moment's respite, straighten the right knee first before you rebend and move it on through, reaching up, reaching back. Again, we're going to take some time here. So we want that power in the legs, enough support for the body without gripping, holding on too tight. But as you come back up through your warrior two, straighten the right leg, maybe shuffle your back foot in slightly. We're going to take it into extended triangle. So I'm going to turn my back toes about 45 degrees forward as I then reach and then lower. So that right hand coming to whatever's comfortable, whatever's appropriate, left arm up to the ceiling. Again, power in both legs. A little bit, if we can find it, of length in the underside, the right side of the body. And if you want a little bit more of a physical challenge, maybe the right arm is going to reach forwards as well. And as you release, fingertips to the top of the mat, so bending the right knee, popping up onto the ball of the back foot, stepping back into your down dog. One or two vinyasas. And you can take a rolling vinyasa with or without push-up. And that push-up is going to come after your upward facing dog. And if you can, with that waving vinyasa, slowing it down. So you can really try and work on that control, that articulation. But once you are vinyased to a satisfactory degree, taking some stillness, down dog, child's pose, kneeling, whatever you like. And taking it into your downward facing dog when you're ready. I'm just going to spin myself around. Into your down dog again, that pouncy, bouncy quality, heels raised, steady, kind of squeezy bend and stretch of the legs. Keeping that quality as you lift the left leg into the air, so maybe stepping your right foot a little closer to the midline of the mat. Maybe that will help allow the right leg to support you a little more easily. And again, we're using that push from the right leg to help step the left foot forwards. Dropping the back knee down, sweeping the arms high, moving into your side bend. Over towards the left side, arms, hands, wherever you want them. As you release from that side bend, arms up, and then bending the elbows, cactus arms. Maybe a little high release, little back bend to go with. The choice is yours. And as you release, hands down to the mat, tucking the back toe. The left leg is sweeping back. Again, think about that power in the right foot, the right leg. And from this three-legged dog, your left leg is coming forwards into a little flirt with a pigeon pose. Again, we're not staying there very long. Just a couple of moments. A brief meeting before the left leg comes back once again, three-legged dog. From that three-legged dog, left leg comes forwards once more. Dropping the back knee, and then sweeping your arm of choice back to catch right foot if it's available. Again, any variation that you want to take. For then releasing the back foot, tucking the toes, rising up into your high lunge. Again, if you want it, a little moment to release up, straightening the left leg before you get back down into it. You want to make sure the legs are placed comfortably for you. So if you're having to kind of grip because it doesn't feel very steady, very stable, make a change. So it's a little bit less stressful. Again, the level of intensity, the level of effort, you're free to choose, you're free to kind of play with, but try and find some stillness there. We're dropping the back heel in and down to take your warrior two. Again, using that little stretch of the left leg for a moment's respite for that quad. If you want it before you settle in once more. Feet maybe gently pressing away. And that power, that stability in the lower body, which then hopefully will allow some ease through the upper body. And how are you finding these slower movements, these pauses, this stillness? Flipping the front palm, again, that little release and rebend of the left leg if you want it before you move into your reverse warrior. And what is your mindset like now at this stage in the practice? How is your mood? Before taking it back through your warrior two, straightening up the left leg, maybe shuffling right foot in a little closer, extended triangle is where we're headed to. Then finding that reach forwards before you take the body over. Strong legs. A little bit of length through the spine. And again, that option if you want it, to float the left arm. Before rising all the way up this time, turning left toes 90 degrees. So you're coming into your wide stance, moving into a forward fold. Hands to the floor, headstand prep, hands behind you. Again, whatever you want. but just a reminder that we're looking to find a little bit of stillness. So you've always got that time to kind of play, to explore, to find your variation where you want to be before taking your stillness. Once again, you're going to release from there, turn the hands, turn the left foot to the top of your mat. Back into a down dog, vinyasa, or 2 or 3, or just a bit of stillness, maybe a nose blow in my case. And again, take as much time as you want, but once again, when you're suitably vinyasad, this time you're going to make your way up to standing any way you like. And if you're still vinyasing, still moving, take the time to kind of finish what you're doing. Nice, you guys. Maybe taking a second with the eyes closed once you are up to standing. We're going to move into a series of standing balances. We're going to basically work right leg, right left, right left, right left. So starting off, let's stand on your right leg, right hand to your hip. You're either going to take standing hand to knee or standing hand to foot. So making sure that whichever variation you go for, the shoulders aren't too rounded. So you want to really draw the shoulders back, engage that power through the upper back, through the arms. Making sure from the outset, or maybe our first port of call, is finding that steady, calm, grounded start point. Carrying that left leg out to the side, maybe only about 45 degrees. And for most of us, 90 degrees is going to cause a bit of a swing of the pelvis. Before bringing that left leg back in front. See if you can let go and slowly lower the left leg down to the floor. Maybe a little bit late in the day, but if you ever get that kind of, just maybe get that clunky feeling in your hip as the leg lowers, try playing around with trying to basically make your leg longer as it lowers. See if that helps. You could, of course, try the opposite, try and actively kind of retract, but start off with that active lengthening. Same thing on the other side. So left hand to your hip, of course you can hold on to something if you want. Taking that moment to steady yourself before you start. And try not to get too caught up in the kind of flexibility aspect. We want the stability, the active upper body. Where are you going to find your power, your strength, your control from? If everything else is kind of steady and stable, the body won't have to grip so hard, and then that freedom through the back of the right leg in this instance, maybe that will start to come a little more readily. Carrying the right leg out to the side. And if you don't carry your leg to 90 degrees, it doesn't mean that you're bad at it, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. Bringing the right leg back in front of you. Again, letting go, lowering slowly, maybe thinking of taking that leg, those toes further away from you. As you lower. We're standing on the right leg, just taking the left toes a little bit in front and rotating that hip in and out, in and out. So either weird, I say weird, one of my favourite moves actually. Bit of wedding dancing, or thinking of stubbing out a cigarette, you know. Whatever floats your boat. Same thing on the other leg. Good. Switching over again. This time, legs slightly off the floor. Just a few times, you're just going to point and flex the toes. Pay attention to what's happening in your standing leg. If you're kind of sinking down to that hip, sinking into the lower back. Just try, oh, sorry, wrong thing. Foot, point and flex. Trying to get a little more lift, a little more upright. Good, switching sides. So quite an active stance, if you like, quite an active balance. So pointing and flexing the foot. Again, we're going to switch sides. If you can, you're going to take that, that left leg a little bit higher. Could have a bend in the knee. I'm going to go back to the in and out. Foot, excuse me. Foot can be flexed or pointed, I don't mind. Nice and switching over. And again, giving it a little shake out. Okay. So now we're going to take it into oh my goodness, I forgot what it's called. Half moon. Half moon. So we're not going to take a super fancy sort of transition into it. Just a little step back with the left leg, little bend of the knees, and shifting forwards from there. So right fingertips can be on or off the floor, on a block, however you sort of want to get into it. It's fine, taking a moment to set that balance. Then maybe starting to bend your left knee and catch with your left hand, catch left foot with your left hand. If you want a little bit more challenge in terms of your balance, maybe slowly turning your gaze up to the ceiling. So if you fall out of it, how do you respond to that? How do you react to that? Take your time to find your way back in, to set your foundations first. But when you're ready, you're just going to release in any way you want. Back up to standing. Or going again. And of course, we've got those physical foundations of your pose, but maybe the first part of that is your intention of choosing to ground yourself, choosing to focus, choosing your drishti before you physically move into your pose, into your balance. So other leg, I've got my left leg in front this time. I'll be standing on my left leg, might be different for you. And maybe bending the top knee, catching the foot. That fun moment of trying to locate foot with hand without looking at it. Maybe turning of the eye line, turning of the gaze, take your time. Nice, before returning to standing. Ooh. Excellent, we're going to stay with the standing balances. So this time, standing on the right leg again, just pop the left foot back. I'm going to give you the option to start from like a lazy sprint start, if you like, or a little kind of crouch, moving into a standing split. Sorry. So fingertips to the floor, shifting onto right leg, sweeping, powering, floating, left leg into the air behind you. Legs can be bent or stretched. You can choose what you do with the pelvis. Are you looking for comfort? Are you looking to try and square it off? Whatever you want. Maybe right hand to back of right calf. Maybe left hand to join. If the pelvis looks like it's swinging, you want to think of hugging the inner thighs together. Or hugging the outer hips in. Great, and again, releasing when you're ready. Before switching sides. Maybe being a little bit attentive to what's happening in your foot. So if your foot has a tendency to kind of collapse or roll in, does it give you anything extra if you think about maybe lifting the arch or firming down through four corners of the foot? Is that even available when there's so much else going on? Whenever you're ready, onto the left leg, powering, floating to the right. What feels more kind of appropriate for you? Is it a sense of powering, driving the right leg? Is it a floating? What's working? That kind of use of language. Obviously, you don't have any control over the language that I use, unfortunately, but you do have control over the language that you choose as you guide yourself through your practice, whether it is by yourself or with a teacher. And this time, as you release, from there, making your way down onto the mat. Okay. Good stuff. We're going to turn to face the long edge of the mat. Taking the legs wide. If you want to grab a pillow or a block to sit up on, you're more than welcome to. Remember, we want to try and get on top of the pelvis. So if the pelvis feels tucked, if you feel like you're sinking, the front of the body is shortening, you're almost kind of rolling backwards, then lifting the hips, but sitting towards the front of your elevation is that kind of almost sliding off the front that's going to help to tilt the pelvis. Or maybe you're just using the hands behind you, slight squeezing back of the shoulders. Legs can be bent or stretched. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you're going to start to add a forward fold. Think about being bitten on the inner thigh by a tortoise. Quite nervous. Just turn you around. And we're taking some stillness, taking some time. If there's a lot of thoughts, a lot of sound going on, if there's a lot of language happening, again, is that language kind? Is it helpful? How is that potentially going to impact your body? In the same way that when somebody else speaks to you, if you feel like you're being attacked, your shoulders might go up, your jaw will get tense, you'll slightly kind of maybe either retract into yourself or you'll push forwards, you'll make yourself slightly bigger, stronger in response. Same thing when we're talking to ourselves, a lot of time we're not even aware of it. When we're talking to ourselves, we will also have a physical response. Starting to make your way back up. Obviously take as much time as you need. Then you're going to move into a seated position, a seated position, with the legs in front of you, the knees bent, the feet planted, and your hands will be back behind you. Now, if you can, if it's okay for you, the fingertips, sorry, are going to point towards the back of your mat, but it doesn't really matter too much. In fact, I might be telling a lie with that, sorry. Make sure the hands aren't too close together. Take the fingertips out towards the edge of your mat initially. So you're going to lift the hips. So you've got that reverse tabletop, so you might find you just need to adjust the placement of your feet for a moment. Then from here, the hips are going to come down, but they're going to pull back. So I'm coming onto the heels, the feet, and I'm trying to push down with the arms and slide my hips back between my hands. So also you might find at this point, I need to take my hands a little bit wider. And then you're going to go again. So bending the knees, lifting the hips, shoulders back. And then when you're ready, the hips are coming back and through the arc. You're pulling the tummy in. You've got almost like a little forward fold, arms nice and strong. As the hips come forwards and up, the balls of the feet plant. But that's really sort of the only position where the feet are flat on the floor. As the hips start to come down, the toes start to lift. And the hips back. Arms nice and strong. 2 more if you can. Now this is sort of a proportions thing as well. If you are someone that has long arms and a short body, this potentially is going to be much easier for you. If you've got the opposite, short arms and a long body, it's going to be really hard. It might even not be possible for you to find that space to bring the hips through. So in the future, if you ever want to try again, a block or something on either side to give you a bit more lift for the arms is going to help. So we're going to come back into that seated position with the knees bent, the feet planted. This time, if possible, the hands are going to be back behind you with the fingertips pointing back. The slight difference is the feet maybe going to come in a little bit closer. We're to roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, lift the hips just a fraction away from the floor, but see if you can slightly pull the hips back towards your hands. There's going to be a sense of a slight arch in the spine. So shoulders back, little lift of the hips, pull the hips back. Can you keep that same level of engagement as you bring the right hand in front of your face, thumb to nose? Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to lift the hips. That right arm is going to sweep up and over in front of your face. So kind of doing a little bit of animal flow here. Strong left arm, strong feet. Looking down to the floor. And then slowly release the hips back and replace the right arm. Fingertips away from you, shoulders back. Trying to pull the hips back towards the hands. You might find as you go, you need to adjust the place of hands and feet. That's fine. Let's take the left hand in front of the face. Try and keep that right shoulder back, right arm strong. Chest is up, sit bones are back. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to lift the hips, strong in the arms and legs. That left arm is coming up and over. You end up looking down to the floor with the left hand in front of your face. Could you lift the hips higher? Again, slowly releasing back down. 2 hands down. Release the hips. Have a little moment. Release the wrists. Shake it out. We're just going to do 1 more of those on each side. Okay. So planting the feet, planting the hands, fingertips back, and the shoulders are back, the arms are strong. As the hips lift, and the chest is rising, hips are pulling back. Right hand comes in front of your face. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, that's it, Freddie, nice. Lift up, strong legs. That right arm is coming over in front of the face, like, oh, don't look at me. And you're looking down towards the floor. Could you lift the hips higher? When you're ready, releasing back down, take your time to change hands. Strong starting position, strong right arm, chest up, hips back. When you're ready, second side. Pushing to the floor, left arm comes over, lifting the hips a little higher, breathe. Good, and releasing back down, nice one. This time all the way back down. Just cross the legs for a moment or find a comfortable seated position to close your eyes. Check in with your body. We are heading towards Shavasana. Is there any part of your body that is giving you some feedback right now? Maybe before you get into your Shavasana, you're just going to take a little bit of time to get into a conversation with your body. So depending on what you're experiencing, it might be that you're going to lie down and get into the hips. You might want to take a twist. You might feel like you want to do something a little bit more active if you feel that you've got a bit of energy to burn. You know that you're heading for Shavasana. You know that you want to get your body comfortable for stillness. Some people might want a stretch. Other people might want an activation, stillness, or movement. Maybe you're going to use this time to have a wee and grab a blanket. Again, whatever you need, whatever you need. When the time comes, settling in, some stillness. And how does it feel? So we obviously had a slightly slower pace, practice. We've been dipping into stillness throughout with varying degrees of effort. Perhaps today that's made this Shavasana feel a little bit easier. Maybe you're settling in a little more readily. Maybe it's the complete opposite. If that's the case, instead of just letting yourself run away with the frustration, with discomfort, can you still continue to try and steady the mind, to try and steady your focus, to surrender to your Shavasana, surrender to your stillness, instead of resisting it. Sorry. starting to deepen your breathing, or to tune back in to your body, to your breath, to the space around you. Whenever and however you feel ready, starting to make your way back up into a comfortable seated position. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. And then you find your seat, again, making sure you're comfortable, closing your eyes. Seeing if you can settle, surrender to this seat. Notice how you're feeling once again, how your body feels, the mood, energy levels, mindset. The noise or the quiet within or around you. Well done. Thank you very much, all of you. I'm sorry I was a bit sniffly and coughing, particularly at the end. But have a lovely weekend, lovely long weekend. And hopefully I'll see you all next Saturday. Thank you very much. Happy Easter.
Thanks, Hannah.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Happy